You've seen our 100 reason shipping videos. Well, today we have one reason for 100 ships. Whether you want to expand your Hunter x Hunter horizons with friendships, situationships, or homoerotic rivalries, today you're bound to find something new to sink your teeth into.
You smelled the subtext with these big 3 ships, but you just need that final push to become a true believer. Let's dip our toes into the safest Hunter x Hunter ships.
Killua and Gon. Where do I even begin? They're best friends who are put in awful situations that no child should ever experience. Killua and Gon survive as best they can by relying on each other. After 10 near-death experiences, who wouldn't fall a little bit in love with the person who's been by your side the entire time?
Leopika and Rarepairs. Right people, wrong time. Their similar backstories brought them together, but that's also their source of pain. Leopika was unable to save someone dear in the past, and he can't let that happen again. Now that he has the power of a medical degree and yaoi on his side, he can bring Rarepairs back from the brink of self-destruction. Because life is not about war, it's about love. Amen.
Hisoka and Illumi. They dance on a very delicate line between doing little favours for each other and death-threatening each other, and that's the whole appeal. The scrunkly sociopaths, if you will. Hisoka's bungee gum ability combined with Illumi's rigidity makes for a dynamic relationship where both have the potential to annoy each other, but also complete each other.
It's been 2 weeks since setting sail. You've read the top 50 fics of your favourite beginner ship. Within the tags, you've noticed the inclusion of some curious couples. If you're still hesitant about diving into these, watch on.
Pariston and Jing. You have to read the manga to get the full picture here. Cause what does Jing mean when he says he'll play with him personally and he's into it? Pariston looks way too pleased at the idea of Jing stepping on him. Why is Jing so obsessed? Why is Pariston so fabulous and sparkly? They are out of control.
Knuckle and Shoot. They may look intimidating, but really they're both softies. Knuckle was prepared to die to create a diversion for Shoot. He even says, "There's something more important than the world right now." Ultra romantic. And what is important to Shoot? Petting Knuckles' 500 stray dogs with his 500 hands.
Hisoka and Crollo. Will it blend? A ripe fruit enthusiast with an obsessive thirst for blood? And an apathetic cucumber? Are Hisoka and Crollo a recipe for disaster or a nutritious smoothie packed full of vitamin C?
Uvijin and Shalnark. They slayed the Kurta clan together, so they stayed together. And then they got slain, separately. Plus you all saw that kiss on the cheek. Very few pairs can boast this canon content.
Pakunoda and Machi. Pakunoda may have been loyal to Crollo, but Machi was loyal to Pakunoda. She stayed by her side until death made them part.
Shizuku and Machi. 2 sassy short domestic labour wives. They've been freed from their husbands and trad lifestyles and now kill men for a living. Blackpink is in your area.
Phaeton and Finks. Phaeton is a miserable little gremlin of a man who bites at your ankles, but Finks would not mind. After all, he's the only one with pet name privileges. Phaeton would slowly torture to death anyone else who dares to call him Faye.
Amane and Canary. Romance is forbidden for Zoldyck butlers, but something is beginning to bloom between these girls. Amane lets her mask slip and blushes after Canary says her real self is cute. How long will they have to hide their affection for each other?
You've contracted a severe maritime illness, making you hunger deeply. You're Fujoing out right now and claim there is yaoi and yuri everywhere for those with eyes to see. Well, you're right, and we're going to feed your affliction.
Announcer Girl and Floor Clerk Girl. These poor women are trapped in a male tower of fantasy world. They need each other to survive amid the suffocating testosterone density that permeates Heaven's arena.
Leorio and Zepile. They have enough chemistry to fool you into thinking they've been lifelong friends, and they're similar enough that all it would take is another drinking session to hook up.
Jing and Kite. Kite's been chasing Jing around the world for years. Obviously, this was spurred on by their distant entanglement. This has come back to haunt Kite as he's left to look after Jing's own son.
Hisoka and Silver. The twink and buff hot yaoi-based duo whose shared pastime is child abuse.
Silver and Crollo. They have the most violent predator-prey dynamic. Silver gets to beat on someone unrelated to him, and Crollo gets exercised. Plus, Crollo's a big enough dick to match Silver's balls.
Phaeton and Crollo. They're both stuck in the early 2000s emo era with no hope of getting out. Now they've only got each other and their chemical romance.
Finks and Leorio. These dumbasses juggle exactly 3 brain cells between each other. They would break the law together on purpose, and then break out of jail, accidentally.
Leorio and Pietro. Pietro had a profound impact on Leorio, so I think their relationship should be explored more beyond the single manga mention.
Pyro and Kurapika. Now for the other doomed childhood friends. Pyro and Kurapika could have had it all if not for the genocide, but at least they'll reunite when Kurapika storms into Tsarednik's office.
Kite and Wing. They're both mentors of the functional variety. Their desire to impart knowledge is only overpowered by their desire for each other.
Hisoka and Kurapika. You saw how hard Hisoka was flirting with those texts. This would be Kurapika's toxic rebound, where they both kind of tolerate each other, because who else can Kurapika unload on who would survive and enjoy it?
Leorio and Hisoka. Now it's Leorio's turn for a toxic rebound.
Meruem and Poof. Poof is basically a yandere, obsessive, possessive, and jealous to the extreme. Could Meruem fix him if he gave him an ounce of attention, or would it just make everything worse?
Netero and Meruem. If Netero hadn't pulled out the nuclear bomb, then perhaps they would have become debate buddies. I just know they'd delve into human nature and antorites over tea.
Netero and Zeno. It's old man yaoi, like really old. They're literally grandpas. They probably laugh about war crimes together.
Granny Abe and Quizzing Lady. The grandpas had their shout out, and now it's the granny's turn. Quizzing Lady would yell at daytime TV while Granny Abe just goes, "That's my wife."
Periston and Netero. They have that awful office age gap romance everyone knows about, but no one wants to acknowledge. I think there's a dojin about this.
Beans and Netero. Let's be real, if Beans hated his position as Netero's office pet, he would have quit 20 years ago.
Beans and Jing. Beans bent the election rules just for Jing, and he bent his sexuality too.
Periston and Leorio. This ship is for when you're a student getting fucked by politics, wishing you could fuck the system instead.
Mizaistom and Cheadle. The more sensible pair of the Zodiac group. You just know they'd cuddle up and do their taxes together on a Friday night, sipping coffee. He provides the milk.
Cheadle and Melody. They're both cottagecore girlies at heart. In another universe, you just know they'd be living out their best, non-problematic pastry baking, chicken raising, crochet making lifestyles.
Maluki and Neon. He collects figures, she collects fingers. These 2 loser otakus are meant to meet.
Jing and Satots. As a fellow archaeologist, Satots was more impressed by Jing's dedication to his job than by any ruin he's seen. Does he want him, or does he want to be him?
Razor and Jing. Razor is another member of Jing's admirers. "I owe you my life," he says, life-owingly, and Jing responds by asking him to be his Greed Island NPC slave.
Basho and Hanzo. Martial arts, Japanese poetry. Is the pen mightier than the sword? What if they came together?
Morel and Chitu. For when you want to see an annoying twink get twunk.
Morel and Nov. The stoner and the neurotic. Somehow they balance each other out.
Welfin and Ikalgo. They shot each other and then became brothers in arms. It won't take much for them to literally be in each other's arms afterwards.
Welfin and Nov. They've both had life-changing mental and physical breakdowns at the same time without knowing it. They're trauma-bonding bald buddies.
Ramot and Zarzan. Cunt and cunty. When 2 tops meet, who will win?
Gorenu and Razor. As Haikyuu has proven, volleyball is the perfect environment for rivalry romance to blossom.
Sesgera and Batera. This is why Sesgera took so long playing Greed Island. He kept leaving the game to meet with his employer. Their names even rhyme. It's perfect.
Leorio and Jing. A DILF who's not actually a dad, and a DILF who wishes he wasn't a dad. Together they make the dream and slightly disastrous daddy duo.
Mito and Oito. Good news to all you MILF lovers out there. There's 2 of them in the story that you can ship together.
Morena and Borkson. They kiss. Ignore that it's for her nenability.
Sabone and Goto. Sabone's the big dommy mummy and Goto is her little plaything.
So, perhaps you can't decide on a single pairing, or some characters are just so intertwined you can't bear to separate them. Lucky for you, the small polyamorous island is up ahead.
Hisoka, Illumi and Krollo. Here comes trouble and make it triple. The 3 hottest antagonists of the series would look even hotter enabling each other's crimes, and criming on each other.
Machi, Shizuku, and Pakunoda. They're the personification of gaslight, gatekeep, and girl boss. Their crimes may not be as severe as their yaoi counterparts, but you have the power to change that.
Poof, Pitou, and Yuppie. If they could just stop focusing on serving the king, they could start serving each other. These 3 may have a tumultuous relationship, but their mutual hatred for humanity brings them together.
Genthru, Sub, and Bara. It's Genthru and his 2 little subs. Like, one of them is literally called Sub, and the other is Bara, a denomination of yaoi. I think you know what Genthru is going to be exploding at night.
Kurapika, Melody, and Lurio. They came together not out of choice, but out of necessity to make sure Kurapika doesn't destroy himself. At any point in time, one of them is bound to be incapacitated, leaving the other 2 to carry the body to the hospital and spend some quality time together at the bedside. They need it to de-stress.
The previous 53 pairings were too tame, so you've set your sights on the Bermuda Triangle. You can't resist the mysterious allure, even though it's cursed and calamitous. If you make contact with any of these ships, will you be able to retain your sanity?
Chrollo and Kurapika. Kurokura is the fandom's premier toxic yaoi ship. Make no mistake, these 2 aren't in love, they're in hate. For life. How can you top Mr. Genocide being paired with the sole survivor?
Kurapika and Uvojin. Okay, Uvojin also took part in the genocide, but there's a difference. Precisely 3 feet of difference. Does it make it better? No, but some people are into twink tops and buff bottoms.
Leech and Uvojin. Is love at first sight too tame for you? Then hear us out. Suck at first sight.
Kite and Pitou. I don't know, some people are into hypnosis and loss of bodily autonomy, and if that's you, well, you're eating good here.
Pitou and Pockle. Okay, now this is a big one for all you lobotomy enjoyers out there. Yes, it's true. Pitou fingered his brainosi 28 times.
Zazan and Pike. Because you can't have a sub without his dom.
Ortho sister and Ortho brother. Do we really need to explain this one?
Bonolenov and Gitaraka. Gitaraka has the needles, and Bonolenov has the holes. He's just Gitaraka's little pincushion. Also, Gitaraka can provide the percussion soundtrack when Bonolenov dances. Girl, I don't know.
Okay, had enough now? Let's head back to calmer waters. These straight ships may be a rarer sight, but they will certainly soothe your soul.
Meruem and Kamugi. A small autistic girl domesticated the feral apex being by making him discover the fragility and beauty of humanity. In exchange, Kamugi discovered a new Gungi move. Their game of love ended in a draw.
Ponzu and Pockle. After the Hunter exam, they're seen together in basically every shot, and they literally match outfits. They're so cute.
Melody and Kurapika. They're friends with therapeutic benefits. Melody is the only person he'd pick up the phone for.
Melody and Lurio. Do you want a more balanced Melody ship? Try Melorio. She provides the mental care, he provides the physical care. A complete healthcare package, no insurance needed.
Lurio and Cheadle. She's his manager and he's desperate for affection, and the loving touch of a hand that isn't his own. Not like they have any other options being doctors who work 80-hour weeks on the cruise ship from hell.
Cluck and Kanzai. She's gay, he's a lesbian, and their 10-year marriage will change your perception of love. They're the type to sit on the sidelines and cast judgment upon all. They talk so much shit that aside from each other, no one else can stand them.
Killua and Canary. For a brief period in time, they were each other's only friends. Then, everything changed when the Zoldyck Authority attacked.
Zushi and Alaka. They both need friends their age, so why not? Listen, Alaka could be learning self-defense to use against her entire family, and Zushi gets an end training partner.
Buhara and Menchi. He's a foodie, she's a feeder. They're the perfect match. You'll never go hungry with this ship.
Kiriko husband and Kiriko wife. They're just living the cottagecore lifestyle as little 3-meter tall creatures.
Were you getting too comfortable there? Well, prepare yourself for the straight storm ahead. What compels Dudebros to steer in this direction amid the sea of homosexuality? Let's find out.
Gon and Alaka. Killua is obviously too toxic for Gon. Thankfully, Hunter x Hunter introduced a girl who's close enough to Gon's age. Plus, they're both monsters.
Retz and Gon. Meet Gon's other girlfriend, this time in movie original quality. She's like the female version of Killua if you squint hard enough. Killua even got jealous of their instant connection, so...
Silver and Kikyo. They're literally married, and she pegs him.
Larute and Leorio. Leorio would gladly fall for her tricks anytime. I think he's into Findom.
Pariston and Cheadle. He's gay, she's a lesbian, and they're only together for mutual political gain, and possibly tax deductions. Their relationship is entirely contractual.
Jing and Cheadle. She's busy climbing the corporate ladder, he's busy digging through the trash. They give off the same energy as a couple married for 30 years who are one sleep apnea snore away from separating their beds. The only reason they're still together is because they're too busy living their own lives.
Jing and Mito. They could be childhood friends to lovers as long as you don't think about it too hard.
Oito and Kurapika. She's a MILF and he's been assigned MILF by the fandom.
Kurapika and Neon. Neon has the Kurta clan eyeballs. Kurapika is a Kurta boy toy. What a great trade deal.
Crollo and Neon. Neon found a sugar daddy to replace her absent father with. Look, it's so romantic. He even caught her after making her faint. What a gentleman. He literally took her breath away.
Crollo and Pakunoda. Pakunoda thought Crollo was so invaluable that she sacrificed herself for him.
Shizuku and Phaeton. Here, Phaeton's the self-insert for edgy little dudes who want a big titty goth girlfriend who can clean up after them.
Palm and Nov. She's dependent on him. He takes advantage of her. It's perfectly unhealthy.
Theta and Serednik. They're actually going to kill each other, but if he really hated her, wouldn't he just give her the jar treatment?
Hisoka and Bisky. Bisky thirsts after him, and he would probably like her small form.
At last, the final stretch. You've dredged up a sizable shipping selection, and you've pretty much seen it all. It's time to fuck ship up.
Tonpa and Pike. They're both insufferable. Truly a match made in hell. Seriously, kill it.
Leorio and Tompa. Come on, have you seen their playful bickering? They want to kiss so bad. I know they'd be all over each other if it wasn't for the internalized homophobia.
Togashi X Hiatus. You pull this out when you want to be mean about Hunter x Hunter on the internet.
Jing and Pregnancy Stone. Because how else do you think Gon was made?
Kitaraka and Illumi. Who doesn't like a little bit of self-cest every once in a while? Right, guys?
Chains and Kurapika. He licks them, therefore he likes them.
Toilets and Bald Kurapika. Bald Kurapika has seen more toilet seats than wigs, I suppose. Poor guy would have been perfect and flushed away.
Banana and Stick. Quiz time! What's yellow and sticky? Banana on a stick.
Cutie Beauty and Pariston. Pariston loves having a fan club of himself. He'd make monthly anonymous donations just to keep it running. Hell, he probably is Cutie Beauty in disguise.
Beetle Phone and Leorio. As soon as Leorio locked eyes on that phone, he was just buzzing to buy it and get a taste. Please someone stop him.
Leorio and Money. You saw the way Leorio fantasized about money. He would probably write self-inserts about it on AO3.
Miluki and Gojo Body Pillow. When worlds collide, if you're a regular viewer, you're basically also a Mojo shipper at this point since they're so deeply embedded in the Sashmash lore.
Hisoka and Bungee Gum. He would create a clone just to fight himself and then fuck himself.
The Black Whale. It's pretty much the biggest ship in the story.
The journey has reached its end. All its seas have been sailed. What new illness have you contracted, and will you spread it? You've got 2 months to recover until we inflict you with our upcoming ship-based psychological analysis. So until then,
Sashmash out.